Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you today, Tasha?
I am great, Kate. Thank you. Excited.
Wonderful. Good. So, welcome everyone. This is Full Sail Partners LinkedIn Live session today. We are talking about optimizing HR functions. Focusing specifically on those A&E firms that we know are growing. So we want to help you guys propel your firm forward. And
Yes.
today I have Miss Tasia Grant with me. She is our senior HR consultant. She brings over 20 years of experience in HR in our industries. She knows us architects and engineers very well. Welcome,
Yes.
Tasha. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some great information for our listeners, viewers.
Awesome. I'm excited as well. So, my name is Cate Phillips. I am relationship manager here at Full Sail Partners. My goal today is to interview Tasha and bring you guys some interesting insights all around this particular topic. I have worked with Tasha on a few of our clients in this HR area, so I have a little bit more experience in this avenue than I may have, if I was interviewing someone else. So I'm even more excited about this topic today than I normally would be. So
Yeah, I call us the dream team. We tag team really well
we
in this
totally
area. So,
do.
yeah,
We do. And we're a good time too. So it's
that's right.
fun, right? All right. So if I'm hoping that we can have some of our audience drop an emoji, tell us how you're feeling about your firm's growth. Our goal is to make this as interactive as possible. So
Yes.
Tasha and I would love to be, showing your comments and hearing from you guys as much as possible. I have a little bit of trivia that I'm hoping to play with you all as we continue. So please let us know how things are going for your firm or how you're feeling about it. Drop an emoji. I see Lindsay has put in
Hey,
a
Lindsay.
yes, Lindsay Diven here is our marketing guru, and she is also producing our event today. So she's in the background, and if we need some help, you're going to hear us call for
Okay.
her. But
And
she's feeling
please, if
all
you all, if you hear anything that just resonates with you as we're talking, and you're like, yeah, we've experienced that, or oh, I know what that feels like, or that's me, that's us right here. Please, let's chat, let's talk. We want you all to be a part of this conversation. So,
yes. Thank you so much,
hey,
Tasha.
Tina
I
from Portland.
appreciate that. Hey. All right. So, we're coming in. Like I said, drop an emoji to tell us how you're feeling about your firm's growth as we continue. And we'll go ahead and get started on our first topic that we kind of prepared for you all today. So, our first question that I'm going to ask is what are some HR related challenges that A&E firms may face as they reach that next level growth phase? And specifically, Tasha, what are some of the ones that they might not even be aware of?
Yeah. A lot of times companies aren't really aware that it's employees oftentimes that need structure. Employees
Okay.
desire structure and they desire consistency. It makes them feel secure. I know that, especially in this time where flexibility, all of that is really, highlighted as important. But a company feels like when they feel like there's policies, there's procedures, they know where to go for what, they know what to do for what. It actually just makes them feel like, okay, this company is organized, it has it together, and that it makes them
Mm,
feel like the company, okay, they have it together. So the trajectory of the company, they're gonna make it, they're gonna do well. So it makes them feel like, okay, I'm good here. And then also as companies grow, we know, if you're a smaller company, a lot of times you kind of wing it or you're used to doing things a certain way. But as you grow, as you become a company of about 50 plus or more, then you're subject to more legal compliance and
mm,
thresholds that you have to be aware of. And honestly, if you don't have an HR person in place, an expert in that area, or even if the person you have in place may not be well versed in that area, it's always helpful to have someone aware to advise you in those areas. And then also processes and procedures, they need to be updated and need to be improved upon, to support this company growth and development. You can't do things the same way that you did maybe even 10 years ago in the
Okay.
industry and even as a company, as a department.
Okay. That makes sense. So what you're telling me is there's a huge difference between 49 and 50, right?
Yes, absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, literally, when you hit that 50 plus threshold, there are legal compliances that you have to be aware of and that you will be held accountable for. So you don't want to get caught in
Okay.
that, because trust me, there's fines. This is about saving company money, impacting the bottom line. Fines mean that impacts your bottom line. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Natasha, I know you and I have talked about this before, but it's so common in our industry for the professionals that have the expertise to like start the
Yes.
firms, right? And so, most architecture and engineering firms, especially the smaller ones, they're started and they're run by professional engineers or by architects, right? And so what have you kind of noticed with all of your experience with what kind of happens when these amazing architects go off and decide they want to start their own firm, and how, what the growing pains are like for them specific to the industry?
hmm Well, I mean, they're experts in what they do. They know the business, they know what they like to sell, they know how to go about selling it, they know how to get clients, but they aren't always necessarily well versed in people management, human capital management. And so a lot of
Yeah.
times they know what they know, they have the knowledge base, but sometimes that's not a given that they have managerial skills or that they have interpersonal skills, people skills. They absolutely are not versed in HR legalities, employment law. That's not their lane. That's not their field. So a lot of times they're like, I want to stay within the lane that I'm familiar with, that I know best. And so they want to rely on
Hmm.
someone where this is what you're an expert in. This is where your knowledge base is. And so I want you to come in and take care of that so that I can focus on the company, so that I can focus on
Right.
our product, so I can focus on our growth and development, so that I can focus on the vision and the mission of the company. If I know that the people aspect, the human capital aspect of it is taken care of. Some statistics in a resource called Legal Jobs, 2023 article. This gives you an example of where companies are. 43% of HR professionals say it's difficult to find employees due to competition. So yeah, it is not easy. People aren't just coming to companies saying, "Hey, I'm available," "Hey, I need a job." Right now, it's super competitive where they're actually sitting back waiting for companies to come looking for them. And so the
Yeah.
company has to know the resources and the
Yeah.
tools, the avenues, where to go in order to find these individuals who are literally sitting, waiting, and saying, "Hey, I'm here, I'm available," and you want to get to them before other companies do. The turnaround time for people getting employed now has shrunk. Gone are the days where it's taken, 2 months, interview process, vetting process to bring someone on board. Nope. People are coming off the market quickly, and we have to figure out how.
Okay.
73% of new employees, they don't think they've reached their full potential. This has to do with performance management and training and development. That's a super high number.
It really
74%
is.
of your talent pool, they don't even feel like they've reached their full potential. So how can companies help them get there? How
Yeah.
can companies help engage, help them to send them on a track? Do you have even a succession plan? Do you have career plans within your organization? So it's nice to have someone dedicated to ensuring that employees, that they do reach their full potential and that they even have the resources and the tools to get there, to get
Yeah.
to their highest potential.
And we have a really surprising stat for these new employees, right? So I wanted to ask our audience, just take a guess. I would love to see some comments coming in as to what percentage do you think new employees quit in the first 3 months? Would love to hear that percentage. Just think about, any of your colleagues that have been hired, what do you think, what percent do you think it is? And then the other thing I wanted to mention, Tasia, as we're talking through these stats, use these internally, as you may need to make business cases for why you should focus on these particular issues, of course. But also, for some of you HR professionals out there, you know, think about think about how you're not alone in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So there's this is a common issue, that it's really difficult right now to find employees because of competition. It's really difficult to ensure that new employees are reaching their full potential.
That's right. That's right.
What are some let's show another stat
See,
here. So
44%,
oh yeah, so
20%,
we've got yeah, let's back up so we've got somebody, I'm not sure who, but put in 44%. That would be huge.
10%. Okay.
I would be terrified to be a recruiter knowing that 44% of my candidates might leave in the first 3 months.
Unbelievable.
Beth Bell, 20%. I mean,
This is a question that a lot of companies need to ask themselves. They need to evaluate that, because that screams a retention issue. That
right.
screams that should be a priority focus, is how do we retain? And then if it's in the first 3 months, that has a lot to do with onboarding. And I'm not just talking about recruiting. So recruiting is the first step of onboarding. That's going out, seeking candidates. Onboarding is from recruiting, their whole recruiting process, including interviews, the candidate selection process, into their first days of work. Was it smooth? Their orientation, when they were brought on board, their training and development, how they got acclimated, how were they introduced to all the employees? Did they get a chance to be introduced to management? I mean, so all of that has a key factor in, if I want to stay. Do I like it here after 3 months? Do I feel like this is somewhere where I want to be for the long term? Or I've already decided this is not the place for me. Company culture, it screams retention. It screams company culture. So these are factors. These statistics are important. Tell us, Cate, what did we get from the Legal Jobs article?
Well, I wanted a quick show. Like, we've got between, Bryce is saying 10, Beth is saying 20. We had that one user that came in at 44%. So we're all kind of right around those numbers there. We've got one more statistic before I share the answer. So please go ahead, if you haven't submitted yet. Tell us what you think percentage of new employees resign within those first 3 months. This is just leading more into your onboarding process that you were talking about, Tasia. So
how important that is. So it goes to show you that if we know that the onboarding impacts whether a person stays the first 3 months, well, this goes to show you why it's so important. That if your onboarding process is solid, 71% means a lot of people say that onboarding really impacted their understanding of their roles and responsibilities. Imagine those 71%. If they don't feel like they even understand what's expected of their roles, if they don't understand what's expected of their job responsibilities, then that would impact their decision on whether they're going to stay or not in the first 3 months.
Yeah, thank you. A couple more answers have come in. We got Gina saying 17%.
Yeah.
Well, let me share. So it is nearly 30% of new employees quit in the first 3 months.
Wow.
So yeah, I was just completely shocked by this. For a few reasons, right? I mean, we know we're all employees. We know how hard it is to make the decision to join a new company, right?
That's right.
And then to think that I would be, have to leave within 3 months because it wasn't a good fit, because I wasn't supported, or I wasn't feeling as though I was reaching my full potential. What a huge change that would be. That would really rock my world, from
And think
an
about the
employee
company,
perspective.
Kate. As we know, it's like companies are having to, again, it impacts the bottom line. You spend all this money on the recruiting time, on the dollars to pay these, recruiters, and then you also maybe have put out signing bonuses and relocation travel, whatever it is, and then the person decides it's not a fit, and then you find yourself having to start that process all over again. You're using the time
Wow.
and the resources of your HR department, time, energy, and resources of your HR department all over again in order to fill this role. So you want to create an environment where you want people to stay and want to stay.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you need to
Without
make
a
sure that you
doubt.
have a person dedicated to that. Like as you mentioned earlier, the owners, the C-suite, the executives, they don't have the time or energy or even expertise to focus on those things, but they're equally as important as getting projects, as getting jobs,
Right.
as building the client pool, as making sure the mission and values are clear. Equally important, because none of that work can get done without the people.
Right. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, we are all selling people. We are selling relationships. We are selling expertise. And, there are humans that need
That's right.
to be, managed to some degree. So,
That's why they
the
say
next,
employee is a company's greatest asset, because it can't function
yes,
without the people.
no, not most definitely, and especially in professional services, right? You know,
Yes.
there is no other product. So,
Yep.
um, so what, Tasha, are some of the signs or indicators, that a firm might need to bring in some outside HR assistance? I mean, I want to ask, because this is what you do, right? So what have you seen over the years in your 20 years of experience?
Well,
Share with
there's
us.
there's so many reasons and circumstances, but I would say probably one of the top reasons that a company realizes the importance of the HR function and potentially may feel like, no, you know what, we do need someone who's focused on this. This is their expertise. This is their knowledge base, and they can be objective. We have people who have they purchased their new HRIS system. Thank goodness a company has realized the importance of actually having one, because a lot of companies don't even have a
Right.
dedicated HR system. That's the human resources information system. A lot of companies, and I've been a part of that growth with the company. We used Excel spreadsheets. That's what we use. We use Word tables and Word documents. We had
Hmm.
papers among papers of keeping stuff, but we didn't have a house,
Right.
technological house for all of this. And so they say, okay, we've realized we have a new HR system. We are ready to implement the system, but we don't have any structured HR processes and procedures in place. So we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Um, then also, you have companies that small companies, family oriented company. They've managed so far their payroll themselves. The admins are doing it. Even the executives, the owners are taking care of main human resources needs. Um, it doesn't work for long. A company, as they're trying to grow, trying to be competitive, trying to stay ahead of the curve, will realize that those people need to put their focuses to, again, higher level needs, higher level issues. Their attention needs to be at a much higher level, again, to things that drive the company. Payroll, a lot of times, that is a specific expertise or arena where they have strong accounting background, they know how to process payroll, but have no idea about employee relations, performance management,
Mm.
employment law, employee engagement, culture and development. I can go on and on and on. And then admins, they are experts at their area, supporting, making sure things keep running, keep going in the department, processes and procedures, but they do not necessarily have the strong knowledge base about people management, human capital management. And so
Okay.
that's when a company realizes, whoa, we need somebody who this is what they do. This is what they focus on.
Yeah.
And this is where their attention will be. And then the
Yeah.
other thing is managers are responsible for addressing the employee concerns and needs for departments. Yes, managers, that's their job. But also, managers' jobs are to make sure the business is running, that the employees
Yeah.
are taking care of their function, that they're functioning the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Managers cannot spend all their time doing conflict management, conflict resolution, even the full scope of employee relations. They're not responsible necessarily for training and developing. Yes, helping and assisting and guiding the development of employees, but not necessarily conducting it. And then another situation that I've heard is we've experienced so much turnover, especially in our HR department. We need to assess our job descriptions and determine what we really need as a company. And that means the HR function. We've had clients, they just keep having turnover for their HR managers. They don't know why. They don't know why they can't keep a stable person in this most important role in the company. And they need evaluation why. Is it our job descriptions? Is it the people that we're attracting? What do we do
Hmm.
to make sure that we attract the right person that fits our company and that will stay?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So there's a ton that you just mentioned in terms of different, things to look for, like indicators that you might be needing some outside assistance, right? Um,
Yes.
so the first one you said is like they're systematizing, right? So because here at Full Sail Partners, we're a software based firm, so we run into a lot of firms that are coming to us and they've purchased a software that they want to implement, um, and too often I think we've run into the scenario where it actually kind of ends up being more of a band-aid approach, right? Because there's problems in the HR department,
Mhm.
then the way that the firm chooses to solve it is to bring in a software that can help systematize it and automate some
Right.
things, right? And with the purpose of that's going to make our job easier, right?
Yes.
Which is what good software should do, right? Should
Right.
always make our job easier.
Exactly.
Okay, so but oftentimes what we've found, and we have a couple of examples. So we know of a client it's a that's a little over that 50 mark. They're like around the 150 200 mark.
Right.
And once we kind of lifted up the hood a little, we realized that the processes underneath the need for automation and the need for systematizing, that the processes themselves were not where they should be. The processes
Right.
needed some focus and some strategies and some help.
That's right.
So, yeah, and in that part, I know you're probably familiar with the client I'm talking about, Tasha. If we're thinking of the same one,
Yes. 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 You want
right?
to talk about that, Kate? Oh my gosh. That was, I mean, a full scope example of a company that we knew needed an HRNA.
Yes, yes. So, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So, an HRNA is, it's something that is a comprehensive kind of health check for your HR processes. And we've developed this actually for the A&E industry because it's a common thing in the world of Deltec. So Deltec does these optimization workshops. And here at Full Sail, we've been doing these for 20 years as well. We
Yep.
call them navigational analysis because we like to stick with our sailboat theme, right? So we developed this comprehensive assessment for the HR processes called and human resources navigational analysis. Let's talk a little bit about what this is and what this brings to the table for the firms that we've worked with. And this is something that firms can go and accomplish in other ways, and we'll address that as well too. So, Tasha,
Yeah.
tell us, what is a HRNA?
Well, as an HR consultant, we can help your company begin this process of addressing the fact that you don't have policies and procedures in place. But first, we look at and doing a whole assessment so that we can begin to a process of addressing and potentially helping companies to avoid the employee related obstacles and pitfalls that companies often experience. So we do this with what's called a human resources navigational analysis. So it's an evaluation. And then as a result of this evaluation, we come up with an action plan for next steps to help organizations figure out, okay, how do we implement these things? So the navigational analysis process, it starts off with us kind of doing a high level overview or review of what's going on. What are the main issues you feel like you're dealing with? We look at the full scope of the HR function and the employee related functions, and we determine, okay, do we feel like there's a need here with this company? The company has expressed a need, but we look and see where we see there's a need, and then we look to determine if we can address it, if we can offer help with that direction. Then we have our discovery period where we have, a meeting where we meet the executives and meet the leaders, and we take a look at, okay, we want to hear feedback from everyone, not just the person, our point of contact, but we want to get a full scope on where everybody feels like, where leadership feels like the company is and where there are deficiencies. And then again, once we do a full evaluation of the employee related function, that's where we come in and provide suggestions and action.
Okay.
And so again, it's all about having an outside person to see from that lens, see what's really going on. When you're inside of it, you're entrenched in it. And so a lot of times you can't come from an objective point of view, and a lot of times just can't see things. You can't see the things that are happening. So we're able to come in and kind of sit back, watch, and then give some feedback based on what we've observed.
Right. Yeah, I think this resonates with architects and engineers because it's a scoping exercise, right?
Yeah.
To some degree. So we're rather than figuring out the design for a building or some component related to a build, we're looking at the processes and all of the documents and the moving parts in this particular function. But coming from a really objective standpoint is so valuable because one, you're able to leverage best practices from across the industry. It's two, it's the consultant's job to stay on top of these things, right? And to really understand what's in compliance. If you're going to have someone read through your entire employee handbook, to look for areas of improvement, are you going to have the person that has to follow the employee handbook read through it? Or are you going to have the person that wrote the employee handbook read through it? No, right? Just like when I'm sick, I Google it and I find out, okay, what could this be? But at the end of the day, I have to go to a doctor to have them tell me what it is.
What? You don't use Google Doctors for everything?
No, I certainly don't. So that's essentially what we wanted to educate folks on today, right, Tasia? We wanted to kind of help people understand that this is an important process that can affect the bottom line, or this is an important function that can definitely affect the bottom line, and that there are resources out there, there are methods out there to help you take a look under the hood, see where you can improve, and help grow the firm, because it is all about the people, and we all need more high quality people on our teams in order to continue to grow the firm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add today, Tasia?
Well, I know that, there are a lot of companies that are looking at this and they say, well, I am an HR professional. We already have.
Yes, this is a great point.
This is what I do. I'm used to this. But the reality is this, two things. A lot of times, especially for smaller companies, they don't have a full human resources function. Have one dedicated HR individual that's all things. And as an HR professional for so long, who has been that person of all things, a lot of times it's a struggle with keeping up with every capacity of human resources,
Yeah.
or even spearheading or initiating a new process, a new policy. A lot of times, for any company, any function within the company, it takes a team. It takes a team effort. It takes partnership in order to see things through. The other thing is sometimes when you're in it, you're, again, like I said, when you're the HR professional, you're in the trenches, especially if you've been with a company, say 10, 20 years, and you're just kind of used to a certain way, and you don't necessarily feel comfortable rocking the boat or introducing something new or veering the company in a direction that they uncharted territories. Sometimes you need an advocate. You need a
Yeah.
support system. You need
Make
someone
someone else
else.
rock the boat. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes you need someone from the outside to see things that not even you can see. Because a lot of times, you have like-mindedness. You have in a company, it becomes a culture. Everyone's like-minded. Everyone sees things the same way. Sometimes you need people to come in who have experienced a different culture, different experience, has a different knowledge base. And again, literally, I know that some clients, I've had clients fearful of, well, I don't want to risk losing my job, if I bring you in, because they're like, well, what do you do?
Right.
It's not the case. Whenever I would present myself as a support for you, that's exactly what we would say. I'm here to support and guide them. And a lot of times that can be for a temporary designated period of time. We have what's
Mm.
called general services agreements, the GSAs. And the GSAs are when you need HR support on an as needed basis. When we
Hmm.
need help, we're going to call you. I actually have a client call after this with one of our clients that's on a general services agreement. An HR issue came up, they need guidance, and guess what? They shot me an email. That person's not at risk losing their job. No one questions their ability or their
Hmm.
knowledge because it's already been
Right.
proven. But if there's
Yes.
something where there may be a gray area or a blind spot, or they need
Hmm.
someone else to bounce these ideas off of, and there's no one else with HR knowledge, then guess what? We can be a resource for that.
Right.
And
Yes.
I feel good that they feel they trust me. And the reason why they trust me is because I've done prior work for them. I've done
Right.
navigational analysis with them. I've been through that process of helping them to evaluate and work through their processes. The other piece
Right.
of it is once we do a navigational analysis, I provide the entire assessment to the client, and it's up to the client to decide if they're okay with implementing everything themselves. Or
Right.
if they decide, you know what, we actually do kind of still want you to partner with us to as we begin to implement some of these suggestions.
Yeah.
So
So, yeah. So I think what you're saying, Tasha, is um, it's kind of like a you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's a you don't have to do this yourself, but you really should find someone. It doesn't have to be us, but you should find someone to help you, someone that has that really objective view that could come in and
that's
provide the
right. That's
expertise.
right. It's really helpful and essential. And honestly, for those folks who may feel a little bit threatened by it, actually, I can tell you from experience. Our clients who brought me on board, they actually elevated themselves within the company because after they saw the end result, the leadership and the executives actually thanked them and gave them accolades for even recognizing that
Yes.
they needed outside help and outside resource. So actually, it was a good look. It was a good
Yep.
look for them for even seeing that there was a need.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Tasha. This has been, I think, really valuable and fun,
Yeah.
and some great statistics to kind of wrap our head around it. HR, like a lot of kind of more nebulous things. It's hard to point at it and say, well, where is the problem, right?
Right.
But when you have the level of expertise you have, and you're able to kind of give us some scenarios and give us some statistics. It really kind of helps us all understand the topic a little bit better. So I really appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please give us some feedback. Let us know if this hit the mark. If you'd
Yes.
like to see more things like this, but all of us are available on LinkedIn, so you can message myself or Tasha or Lindsay Diven. Any of us can be reached, and we can talk about how to either help you optimize your HR functions or anything else, really. So
Thanks
thank you
for
so much for,
participating.
yes, thanks for being here and being engaged with us. We really appreciate it. So have a fabulous rest of your Wednesday, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.